Who's excited to talk about real estate?
Woo!
Yeah. So we couldn't help but notice that there's only 2 real estate sessions at this whole conference, and they're both scheduled at the exact same time. So we do thank you for choosing ours. We appreciate it. So diving in, we want to make sure that you leave this presentation with a couple key takeaways. First being, I think the vast majority of these sessions are about how you can use Tableau internally to help your organization run more efficiently. But we really wanted to show you how you can use it as a tool and a backbone to create an external-facing product that could be sold to the market and become a core part of your company's offering. We also want to help you understand how you can overcome the internal opposition that you're going to face along the way. So when we went on this journey, I'm sure many of you have tried to do something in your company and people said, oh, that's impossible. Oh, that's not going to work. Why are we even exploring this? And we noticed that every step along the way, people kept saying it's not going to work. Every time we had a win, we had to prove ourselves over again. So we'll help you push through that. 3, we want to make you so that you can get a seat at the strategy table. And that means both within your organization, going from, a lot of Tableau users, again, are helping your organization on the back of the house run more effectively. And we want to help you become a core part of what your company offers to the public, and then hopefully a core part of the revenue that your company collects, so then you get a much bigger say in how your organization runs itself. And then finally, we want to make sure that you can remain relevant. So as soon as you create something new, it's going to be awesome the first day that you build it. And tomorrow, you're going to immediately have to come in and figure out how to make it better, because the competition is working on it every single day.
Great, so we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. So my name is Brian Ezel. I've been working with Tableau in some form for about 8 years. This is my 4th Tableau conference overall. I started coming about 8 years ago, and it was just 700 people, so it's great to see so many faces here today. So I've worked for a company, Savills, who we'll tell you a little bit more about here in a second, and its predecessors for my entire career. And today's story is really a big reason why I'm here and excited about what we're sharing with you today. So from spreadsheets and access databases at the beginning and into apps and data viz today, I've always focused on working with innovative tools that help our clients to understand data and make it actionable. So the platform that we're sharing with you today really is focused on that. So Doug and I are focused on co-managing that platform, and it's called Knowledge Cube. So we'll share that with you today, and Doug will introduce himself.
Sure. So like Brian, I also started out at our firm. It seems like a lot of us there do that. But I started on the complete opposite end. I started on the brokerage side of the business. So that was a client-facing team where we go out, pitch business, do actual real estate transactions. And about 6 years in, I got really frustrated that we were doing things exactly the same way we were when I started. We weren't really advancing, so I left, went to grad school, had a brief stint in Amazon, and then was brought back to build out this platform with Brian. So why are we here? Why do we care about real estate? Raise your hand if you've ever bought or leased property. So pretty much everybody who's not still living with their parents. Let's just think about it in a wider perspective. As an asset class, real estate is worth over $200 trillion in the world today. And just for comparison, the second bar there is the total value of all the public securities, equity, and debt in the world. So real estate as an asset class is huge. It's many times over annual global GDP, so it impacts all of us every day. And then within that, our company falls in the commercial services end of the business. And there's really 3 big verticals within there. There's the advisory side of the business, which is the transaction side that many of you are familiar with, the matching of buyer and seller, connecting people with property. But just as important in there is every single construction project has a team of people managing it. And every single building that you're in, including this one, has a huge staff of security, maintenance, cleaning, all of that sort of stuff that we don't really think about, but needs to happen every day and is a huge part of the actual financial pie. And then let's look at our company. We were in the advisory sliver of that pie there. So at $2 billion and 35,000 employees globally, we're in the big leagues, but we're not the biggest in the big leagues. So we'll talk about how that impacts our story in just a minute here. And when we were thinking about how to conceptualize our journey from 2013 to today, we realized that it really matched up well with the movie Moneyball. So we were going to piggyback off their story a little to help make it simpler to comprehend. So for those of you who are not familiar with the plot of the movie, the background is that Billy Beane is the coach of the Oakland Athletics baseball team, which is one of the smaller, less financially secure clubs in the system. They have to compete against the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees that have much bigger budgets. And he had just lost all of his star players. So he had to replace people that seemed irreplaceable. He didn't have the money to just buy the talent. So he had to figure out another way to do it. And he found this data analyst who had a whole different way of thinking about this. And he said, wait a second, you shouldn't be trying to buy star players or star talent to win games. You should be trying to buy runs. Because when you buy runs, you get wins. And the way to get runs is to buy people who will get on base. And it turns out that buying somebody who's able to get on base is a lot cheaper than buying a superstar celebrity. So they were able to cobble together a winning team using that methodology. So with that, I'll let Brian take us back to 2013.
Great. All right. So Act 1 is the art of the impossible. So you know a little bit more about our company now, who we are, what we do. And let's get to how we ended up here presenting at Tableau Conference and how we think we changed the game for our company and for our industry. So how many of you have had some sort of legacy technology platform that's been in your business, but then you started working with Tableau and you realized how powerful it was? Any show of hands of how everybody, I'm sure, agrees that Tableau is pretty powerful. So that's kind of what happened to us. We saw that we had some legacy platforms in place and Tableau could really change how we delivered to our clients. So with the old way of doing things, our firm in 2013 was focused really on our core business of tenant representation and brokerage, but we had good relationships and excellent client service, and technology really wasn't a focus of our service delivery. We had tools like this that were custom coded and created by our IT department, but they weren't scalable, they weren't deployable, we couldn't move quickly with them, and we were very reactionary to our clients' needs. They were, of course, expensive to deploy and sometimes not user-friendly. So it might have been better than some tools at the time, but the custom-coded solutions always took a long time to develop, and we just couldn't scale quickly. So in 2013, like Doug mentioned, one of our largest and most legacy clients asked us to repitch the business. They told us that the competition was coming to them with technology tools, with different strategies, digital-minded thinking towards the service, and it really would have impacted us negatively if we lost that client at the time, 10% of our revenue. So we had to find a way to react very quickly. So this quote here from the theme today, Billy Beane, if we win with our budget, with this team, we'll change the game. So we kind of had the same mindset. We didn't have a solution, but some people within our company were thinking if we could do something so special that we changed the game with the budget that we had and actually retain the client, it would make a huge impact. So leaders of our firm got together and the managers of the account got together and they realized that back to that legacy platform, there was no way we could deploy that in 4 weeks that we had to pitch the business. It wouldn't solve the problems the client needed it to. Like I said, there wasn't enough time. We truly were in a Moneyball situation where if we figured something out, we could really change how we thought about our market and our industry. So the client asked us to digitize the Bible. They said, take everything you're doing for us today and have a technology-forward mindset. Bring us self-service reporting tools. Bring us all the lines of service that you are providing to us today, which we provide tenant representation primarily, but a plethora of other services, and bring it to us with a tech-forward mindset. They really were saying this is the only way you're going to be able to retain the business. So we had a few people in the firm that had been working with different technology tools like Tableau, ClickView, Power BI, Salesforce, lots of different siloed individual users throughout the firm. And we started to get them together and have them think about having a second look on how we approach the technology. So we decided to to share this with our leadership, and at the time they were skeptical of the approach. How are we going to bring together these siloed platforms and share them with a client when we have never thought about them as being client-facing tools in the past? So the leadership was very skeptical to the approach. Leadership in most organizations, they think that the way of doing things today is the right way. We're not going to make a change. We're not going to innovate with tools that are newer to the market at the time especially. And we thought that we just had to throw money at it. We thought we had to hire custom coders, maybe buy a team of software professionals to develop a platform. We ended up proving that that wasn't true. So what you're seeing here is actually one of our very first forays into using Tableau and Salesforce together to solve the client need. We started with a skunkworks type team of just a few siloed individuals, a $6,000 investment into Tableau and Tableau Server, and used its native connection to start the platform we have today. The client that we were speaking about in 2013, they liked the visuals, they liked the fact that they were able to provide input, and they were part of the iterative development process. In the competition that they were speaking about, they were offering a fully built proprietary platform that was either kind of turned on or off, and it had limited integrations and limited customizations. So the fact that we were bringing a next generation tool that allowed for document management, data visualization, project tracking, ended up being a winning combination. So just like in Moneyball, we had to put together a winning team by bringing the right team, or in this case, set of tools, with Tableau being one of the key players at the time. So as I'm sure you've gathered, we defended our relationship successfully and we won. So moving forward though, what happens when you win something? We still had to prove ourselves that it could scale and we could do it again. There was internal opposition that we had created a successful, scalable platform. They really weren't sure if we just got lucky, if the client just said, okay, you checked the box. We really had to cobble together a proof of concept and have a structured team. So we got a little budget. We got a little bit more focus on creating a platform, and Knowledge Cubes, our platform that leverages Tableau, was born. So in just a moment here, we'll show you a quick intro to that platform. It's a portal that gives our firm a branded, identifiable way to deliver curated modules powered by various solutions, but primarily right now Tableau, and directly to our clients. Doug will go into more detail in a bit on how it all comes together, but we wanted to give you an early sample of just how powerful the platform is. We'll show you our App Store-like environment, integrations with innovative back-end data tools, user experience enhancements with tools like Google Maps, and a unique data prediction mechanism that's similar to the Zillow Zestimate I'm sure many of you are familiar with for your homes. We're actually bringing that in to our portal as well. So we'll go ahead and start this demo here, and there we go. So the interface is set up much like iOS in that apps or modules can be organized, turned on or off, and made available to specific users. We currently have the largest collection of occupier-focused apps in our App Store, and we're adding more every day. You can see here you can move modules around just like on your iPhone or iPad. And each module is powered by a mix of different back-end visualization tools like Tableau. So diving into this specific module, this is our portfolio map and summary. You can see how native Tableau functionality is used to clearly present our clients their data with key metrics and KPIs along the left side there. You can use all the mapping functionality that many of you may be used to today. Once you drill into a specific location in this view, you can see that there is key information. One of those pieces of data there is that that Zillow type market estimate. And within the pop-up, then you can access back-end data tools. So you're seeing here a direct connection to the underlying data that powers Tableau. This is a tool called Leverton that we've partnered with that actually brings our clients to the point of data within the PDF contract document so they can have an end-to-end experience. So moving forward into our clients can go directly back into the pop-up and switch over to apps like Google Street View so they can navigate and look around their locations from anywhere in the world. So rather than having to bring photos and decks and slideshows to our clients, we can actually let them use the tool to understand their locations and drive around the city and understand the amenities available to them there. So that's just a quick overview. We'll see some more of it in our presentation today, but wanted to get you guys right into the meat of our portfolio tool right away. So lesson one, though, is that opportunities lie within the status quo. The simplest solution is often best. We took tools that various members of our firm are using, just beginning to use at the time, and brought them together, convinced our leadership and our client that there's a better way of doing things. And we won not only the 2013 business, but we also won a seat at the strategy table in helping our firm create a new innovative technology platform.
All right, so Act 2, we had a win. We kind of BS'd our way through it, but we won, and we were able to cobble together a prototype. And as Brian said, we got some budget, we got some buy-in from the very top of the organization, but then we had to turn it into an external product that would be competitive on the open marketplace, and we weren't the first team to the party. So we had to take advantage of a couple structural issues going on. So if we play like the Yankees in here, we're going to lose to them out there. So if our competitors are throwing a bunch of money at a problem and building custom tools and buying teams or startups that already do this, we're never going to be able to buy more startups or buy more teams. But we can take advantage of some structural trends, mega trends, that they were not taking advantage of. So for one, everything now is open and connected. So I think any sort of enterprise level product is going to have API connection ability. And most of our competitors were offering only 1 or 2 back-end connections that you could actually use to power their data solutions. The other thing is that, the thing we noticed in that first pitch was that the client appreciated being involved in the iterative process of the product. People today like being able to customize solutions to them, and especially large enterprise clients expect to have a tool that's tailored and configured exactly how they want it. So if you're a company that spent $20 million building a very fancy tool, but it's all custom coded, you can't really tweak it that easily for smaller clients or medium clients even. So just quickly looking at some of our competitors, like the first thing we noticed right away is that they were siloed. And that came from A, they were working through acquisitions to build out this product line, and B, they had teams that were focused on creating a tool self-coded in-house. So inherently, when you have this kind of organizational structure, you're going to have the issue that these teams are on different P&Ls, they don't sit together, they don't necessarily want to communicate, because if they come up with a new innovation, it's in their personal interest to keep it under their control as much as they can and get the value out of it that their team can. And we decided, if we're not the first to the party, the only way we're going to leapfrog to catch up is by running a completely open platform. So to that end, we had to take advantage of those 2 megatrends. So there's open, the ability to connect to a lot of things, and there's the fact that people like customized solutions. And we had to take advantage of the fact that not one size fits all. So when you build a very fancy product and it's a very static product, you build it for as many clients as you think will be able to fit into that general frame as possible. But that means a lot of clients are sort of shoved into that box, and it may not be the best box for their organization. So we can take advantage of that to, again, use tools like Tableau, where we can iterate new content in a couple days to create custom solutions. And if we have a pitch a week out, we can create custom content either using the client's data or dummy data that's just geared towards their use case. We also wanted to democratize this content creation. So we're a big global company. We have a lot of thinkers out there. We noticed the competition was really putting the tech tools in the hands of tech teams, letting the client-facing sales teams go out and sell, but there wasn't a whole lot of collaboration. And we realized you were missing out on a huge part of your content creation workforce right there. So the people who are talking to clients every day should be the ones who are designing the content. And using tools like Tableau, it's very easy to just give them that ability. You don't even need to know SQL to be able to create these visualizations. And then again, the big difference is when you acquire tech startups, they're usually started by tech people. And we're a client-focused real estate firm. And again, because these tools are so easy to use, people like me who have a brokerage background are able to pick them up in a month or two. And then we can really put that in the hands of the frontline professionals. So here is our first look under the hood of how we've set up this client-facing platform. So we take data both from client data sources as well as all of our proprietary data. So that includes our brokerage network all over the world that contributes their opinions of value and what's going on in markets. It also includes all the subscription data that we buy. So if someone came up to us and mentioned CoStar data, that's just one of many sources that we use to power our predictive analytic tools. So it comes in, we use tools like Alteryx to clean and enrich data. It comes into a SQL data warehouse on Azure. Our consultants and data scientists are then able to pull that into Tableau Desktop. That then publishes to Tableau Server. And then we have an HTML front-end interface, which was that iOS-style portal that you saw on the screen earlier. So speed versus control, there's two conflicting issues going on in this chain of workflow here, which is there are people in an organization tasked with the resiliency and security of the system who are inherently process-based and say, the way you ensure this security and consistency is doing it the way we've always been doing it. But that completely gets in the way of innovation. So if you're starting from behind and you need to jump 2 or 3 steps at once, you need to be constantly experimenting, because the quicker you can get through failures, the quicker you can find what works. So we separated that, and we let the process people manage the back-end infrastructure, and we let the frontline client-facing team manage all of the data enrichment and content creation, and that way it just flows seamlessly through to the portal. So that worked when we started in the US, and there were 3 or 4 clients, and everybody said, great, you're kind of proving it works. So how do we roll this out globally? So this is a little bit messy, but we wanted to show you, especially things like GDPR came up in the last year with European data privacy. So we decided as an organization, we were going to not be afraid of sharing IP across geographic regions, because we couldn't afford to not have the best content out there globally. But we also needed to be aware that each region needed the ability to configure the back end in a way that worked for them. So whether that's regulatory concerns, whether that's the data sources they want to connect to, and on the content creation end, we want local teams in each city creating content that's relevant to their users. So once a quarter, the front-end actual iOS interface is pushed out from our headquarters in New York, so the client experience is always seamless. But the back end is all run regionally. So what does this whole open versus closed environment get you? It gets us a much wider platform than our competitors who spent tens of millions of dollars building a tool were able to get. And if you just think of it this way, we're a real estate services organization, and we've got 30,000 employees. There's no way that we're going to come up with better technology than even several of these companies. And by the way, all of these companies that sell these third-party tools do a very good job of what they're trying to do, whether it's tracking the accounting of your contracts to how people use space, or if you ever have to book a seat on an app, to managing maintenance requests and capital expense projects. So we're going to piggyback off the innovation competition happening in the marketplace, and whenever all of these service providers come out with new features once a month or once a quarter, we're able to immediately create new content around that and publish it to the global client base within a week. And how do we manage this process-wise? So we have a team call once a week, and everyone within the organization who wants to create content can submit content, and we decide whether it's worthy of our basic quality standards, and if it is, anyone in the world can use it immediately. So we're really trying to go quick and custom. So now we can look at another video here. This is just going to walk you through 4 of the apps that we made. And this is just a cross-section to show you the sort of variability within the content. So the first one here is a high-level market research tool. So if you're looking at what city you might want to be in, we can give you the ability to look at past trends, to break down what the drivers of cost are in addition to just base rent, and arm you with the tool to plan, if you're going to be in the city, what should I expect for capital, what should I expect for rent and other costs. Again, everything just trying to take advantage of all the native functionality in Tableau. This next one is something that our intern did this summer in 2 days for a pitch. And it's content geared solely towards law firms in New York City, where everybody loves going in a pitch and the audience all wants to gossip about what their peers are doing. So we were able to take something that would have been a spreadsheet and maybe boring, maybe not engaging, and hand it to an intern and come back with an interactive pitch geared towards a hyper-focused audience in one specific city, in one specific product vertical. Next, we're going to look at how we start to help clients understand how well they're utilizing space. So whether that means how many people are assigned to a location, to measuring all the way down to seat level, minute by minute, when do people ping a wireless router. But the cool thing here is just by using a little cool graphics or uploading some clip art, you can make something that most end users would not think of as being Tableau to begin with. And then the last one here is going to be another example of what Brian showed you before. Whenever we create a visualization, we try to create a direct connection where if they need more data than what we're able to give them in the viz or in the tooltip, we can take them back to the exact record that drove that data in a source database. So what's the lesson from this chapter here? It's that an open platform allows you to create quick custom solutions. And the ability to connect all this data together means that we don't need to figure out how to build these tools. We just need to figure out how to configure them for each client's unique needs.
Great. All right, so Act 3, stay ahead. So we've shown you how we got started by overcoming a huge challenge and how we're different and how the platform we built to do it all came together. But really, how do we stay ahead? How many of you have built something in Tableau or elsewhere, but then struggled to find a way to keep it relevant with all the new features that come out, with everything that your clients or your internal constituents expect? You're always trying to make sure it stays relevant. So like I said, we had won people over, we had happy clients, and we were winning new business with the tool, but we just had to figure out how to keep it relevant. So all good ideas are copied. So in the Moneyball story, as anybody that's seen the movie knows, in 2004, the Boston Red Sox copied the idea from Billy Beane and won the World Series. So we had to make sure that the same thing didn't happen to us, and if it did, how, like I said, to stay ahead. We found that our competitors continue to build the best mousetrap, like Doug was talking about, proprietary solutions that are more of one size fits all, and they were backed by tools that were developed by large IT infrastructure teams and not necessarily industry experts. So our focus continues to be on a platform that allows for innovation, client-specific customization, and delivery of the technology by corporate real estate subject matter experts. Actually allowing the client to talk to the person building the dashboard and building the viz is really part of our core strategy. We also focus on solving our clients' problems and not just perceived industry answers to the questions. So we work with our clients in workshops and data gathering workshops to understand the data and what they have and what their desired outputs are. So another quote from Billy Beane, if you don't win the last game of the series, they'll dismiss us. So our competitors are willing to build custom solutions again for their biggest clients. They have the money and the resources to do that, but our platform and Tableau allow us to customize for a wide range of clients, small, medium, large. We can create the bespoke visualizations we need to keep them happy. If we keep doing that, providing them relevant tools and diversifying with tools even outside of Tableau, we can continue to win where it matters and stay just that one step ahead. If we won just that first challenge that we shared at the beginning, it wouldn't matter in the end. So rewinding a bit to 2013 again, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this view, the Tableau Server UI. It's great for managing your workbooks and your sheets. It's great for sharing content maybe internally, but we knew we needed a more curated UI if we were going to allow our clients to access this. We needed to set up security and customizations, filters, and access permissions that our clients could work with. So we, as you saw earlier, we created that more curated way to give our clients a seamless experience, and we continue to evolve. So as you're seeing here, This is our branded landing page platform. So everything from the login to the actual interaction with the apps, our clients see one consistent branded platform regardless of the underlying tools. So each client experience is unique. Each of the apps are customized just for them with the naming conventions, the icons, everything you're seeing here, each client will see differently. We make the client experience as interactive and delightful to them as possible. And then the next way we stay ahead is to iterate based on user behavior. Keeping our clients engaged is key, so making sure they're coming back into the platform. We utilize both the built-in Tableau Server usage metrics, but also have built a layer on top of that that helps us understand how our clients get into the portal, when they're logging into the portal, how many different users are set up for each client, and really having key metrics about that data, and then reaching back out to them, making sure they're engaged, and sharing that information with the client, with other organizations, and internally to us, so we know which apps are the most useful, which are accessed the most and shared the most. So the listening and engagement is absolutely key to making sure our content stays relevant. And then finally, mobile is absolutely the future. So one of our key focuses to stay ahead is to embrace that. We're using Tableau's native device layout and scaling functions to allow our clients to seamlessly interact with the visualizations across all devices. So this is the portfolio map and summary view that we showed at the beginning, natively scaled to an iPhone, and you can interact in the same way, scroll, filter, dive down into your data. And then actually the mobile app integrations are very seamless. So if you have your Google Street View integration that we showed earlier on your desktop, it takes you to your browser. But on the iPhone, it actually takes you right into Google Maps, and you can do the actual tilt and pan and drive around the experience on your device. So the seamless mobile experience that everyone's looking for is really a key focus for us right now as well. So lesson 3 out of those slides is that the best content wins. When we connect with the client in the most meaningful way and give them bespoke visualizations that are customized and tailored to their needs, we succeed in making our clients happy and really showing our value as a forward-thinking, technology-driven service provider.
All right, so we want to make sure we hit you again with these key lessons we had. So number 1, there's opportunity in the status quo. So who here has seen a process in your organization and it's been done the same way so long that nobody even remembers why they do it that way? So yeah, chances are there's a better way to do it now. Even if it's just a few years ago, chances are there's a better way. The other thing is, if your organization thought about a new initiative 2, 3, 5 years ago, and they decided it was too expensive, it was too hard, well, guess what? If we saw in the keynote yesterday, this stuff changes every quarter. So just because it may have cost $100,000 5 years ago, it doesn't mean it can't cost $5,000 today. And you should really be looking at those opportunities. If it's something you wanted to do, once a year, you should come back and test it out. Number 2, take advantage of megatrends in the marketplace and don't try to fight them. So openness is our friend today. Every enterprise software has API connectability, and there's no reason that all of the vendors out on the floor there can't help us connect it very easily. And it also allows us to customize. So again, getting people fancy products was a few years ago. Getting people products tailored to their unique need that solves their unique problems is what resonates with people today. And number 3, a content-first environment. So just because you have good content today means just a few months from now even, it's going to be stale. Every single day, you need to have people coming in working on making it better. But it doesn't mean it needs to be the most expensive content. If you look at YouTube celebrities, there's some people on YouTube that have way better ratings than network television shows. So it really goes to show you that content that resonates with the specific audience matters a lot more than all the resources behind it. And then this quote here just sort of sums up from one of our clients why she likes our platform so much. And again, it makes her life easier. When we started working with her, she had all of her lease documents for 50 US locations in file folders. And every month, she spent all of her time just trying to structure and keep up with the data. So we, A, took all of the structuring and management out of her lap, and B, we gave her some tools to really think about how to strategically manage property for their organization from a proactive rather than reactive mindset. And with that, we're very lucky that our organization's very own Billy Beane is with us here today. So our CIO, Patrick McGrath, was the person way back in 2013. His photo was the little one on that Salesforce screenshot there. And he's going to share with us a little about the journey and what happened along the way.
Thanks, Doug. So we've got the opportunity to do some questions from the audience, but I think we're going to hit a couple questions from the two of you first.
Sure.
Do you want to touch on those?
Sure. So what was the biggest challenge in rolling this out?
I think for many in the room, there's a good saying that you know the pioneers because they have the arrows in their back. And when you take that type of risk, it is, it's not easy. And a lot of the journey that we just described has been an exercise in perseverance. But I think along the way, we had a lot of confidence in our team that this was the right way to do things. And this was just a better design of a system. But obviously, when you suggest that there's a better way to do things, the people that are invested in the current way of doing things are going to be resistant. So I would say that the biggest challenge is overcoming that natural resistance, natural inertia in an organization. And you got to build the team small, and then you got to expand from there. So I think as we move forward, one of the bigger challenges we have is again, trade-offs between speed and structure, right? And that, when we were a much smaller team, we could move very quickly, and not many people would notice. Now we're a much bigger team, and our impact across the organization is very visible. So things don't quite move as quickly as they used to. But clearly, in the grand scheme of things, speed's still our advantage in terms of how we play.
So did you think it would fail at any point?
No, I don't think I ever really thought it would fail. I think the design that we had, we were really confident again that Tableau was a great partner, that the tool was proven. This wasn't, we're talking about 2013, so it's not like Tableau was a new entrant in terms of the data visualization market. I don't think we thought it would fail. I think the system design we never thought would fail. I think from an organizational perspective, it was a question of, are we really going to get the buy-in from all these different stakeholders and get them to realize the same vision that we had, and that this would be a great opportunity for our company to really punch above our weight and make an impact in a very big established industry.
Right. So to that end, if this is a great product and people were going to sell it, why didn't we just spin off and do a startup?
I would say it a little bit differently. I think there's some good studies on how do you, as an organization, as a big organization, how do you create pockets of innovation, and how do you give them enough autonomy that the results have real impact for the group that's invested in that project. And I think there is a case to be made that, given the size of certain organizations, that autonomy is a real accelerator in terms of getting those ideas to market and to prove themselves as a real product. So whether it's spinning out or sort of conceptually spinning out from the normal structure of the organization, I think that you have to be thinking about that, right? I mean, that's something that if you're serious about doing something in a very different way than your organization is currently structured and configured, you have to consider the merits of the reward and resources that the reward system and the resource system that's in place, and sort of getting outside of that so that you can get those wins to be meaningful for the group that's really invested in that new venture.
All right.
So yes, definitely, I would consider spinning out, but not because the organization wasn't behind us, but more to kind of accelerate it, make it move faster.
All right. Thank you. So we want to leave time for audience questions. Anybody?
Yep, here, I'm going to give you the mic. So you can...
Thank you so much. Great presentation. I have a question. In your organization, who builds content? Where is it built? And how do you scale it across not just the Americas market, but the globe.
Yeah. So content is created everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'll not to
Yeah, go
answer
for it.
every question, but this was a big challenge, right? So as soon as we had momentum, the natural tendency is, okay, we've got something really good, right? We should hold it, and we should, sort of make sure it's secure. And as a company, we were going through a merger at the time, right? We had sold our U.S. business to Savills, and we didn't know Savills. So, UK, Europe, Asia was kind of unknown. What are they going to do if they get a hold of this IP? Are they going to use it the right way? Are they going to put the brand in a risky position in terms of putting that out there? And we had to build trust between the regions, and then really set up an infrastructure where people could look into the libraries of content so that they could get those ideas. And that was a big conceptual break from people's natural tendencies. But we benefited significantly from that risk that we took, in that we learned a lot from our team in the UK and Europe and Asia. And we were small, and we needed as much leverage as we could get in terms of like seeing different ways of doing things. And they've ended up bringing a lot of value to the table. So we basically, again, I think you described it, but structurally, the data is held regionally, and those clients are supported regionally. But from an IP perspective, we have the ability to look through to the libraries of content across the regions globally. And that's the way that we try to share content. And then there's no substitute for just getting on WebExes
Weekly.
or Zooms or whatever, and just literally, okay, what's the next new idea that we have, right? And we're thinking in terms of apps, right? So we've the iOS platform set up, and our responsibility is to create really good apps that people want to engage with. So that's how we think about it, and we talk about, what are the ideas for apps that are going on in the UK and Europe? What are the ideas for apps that are going on in Asia, and how can we really scale that and get that out to the customers?
And as far as the delivery to the customers, we're dedicating a piece of a data visualization specialist to be on the account team. We're not just putting a ticket in with an IT department saying, make this change to this app because the client asked for it. Some of the people in the audience today would be remiss if we didn't give our gratitude to them, or are directly working with the clients and going back to Tableau and publishing sometimes the same day and saying your change has been made. And the clients love that amount of responsiveness.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Like, this has become an incredible listening device for what our customers want, right? Because we're seeing how they're engaging with it, and we've got that direct connectivity. And we see this longer term as now we're using Tableau to kind of iterate with the user experience and see what really works with them. But to the extent that there's applications further down the line, we've got insight as to where those opportunities may be from like an app perspective. So very helpful.
Anyone else?
Yep.
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 Go ahead.
I'm going to give you the mic.
Besides the client satisfaction on the Knowledge Cube,
Yep.
can you also talk about the impact of the Knowledge Cube on revenue as well? Or does it attract any new customers or drive the revenue increase, something like that?
Mm-hmm. We measure that.
Yeah, we definitely measure that. And the answer is yes. It's had a very big impact on a really important part of our business, which is global portfolio clients that have a lot of property, a lot of people, and generally are some of our biggest customers in terms of revenue. And the contracts with them are multi-year contracts, so they trade a little bit differently in the marketplace than our traditional ad hoc transaction revenue. So there's a bigger multiplier with that. And I think one of the key challenges is communicating that value back to the executives involved so that the resources continue to flow to support this, and making sure that you have that, those metrics sort of established and agreed and communicated with a consistent cadence is something that continues to get investment from the company behind these ideas and applications and the people.
And we track every dollar of revenue from anybody who's ever seen a demo. So
sometimes we're just bringing in the platform as an assist. We're showing the cool things we're thinking of, and not all of our clients are ready for it at that moment. But the fact that we're thinking about our business like that really adds value, and then we deploy it very often and have incredible results with it.
Yeah, I think the takeaway, probably one of the takeaways we don't have here, which would be a good one for everybody, is make sure that you try to tie back to frontline revenue, right? Because your story internally is much more powerful when you can say, we are associated with this growth trajectory in the business. We're associated with these wins. And this is a really important component of that, despite the fact that we're not the sales team, right? We're not the direct sales team.
Over here.
So I do something similar where we have client-facing dashboards, but I work for an accounting firm.
Mhm.
And how do you, I'm curious, do you charge additional for this? Or is this part of your services? How do you handle the challenge of, you have certain customers that want a lot of customization? We handle that by, allocating, say, 5 hours of maintenance a month or something, and anything like that is a separate statement of work. I was just curious, do you get a revenue stream for this, and how does it work?
Another great question. That's been an iterative process, I would say. So again, we're thinking in terms of apps, right? So certain apps have been around for longer, and you know how those systems are designed and what the support infrastructure is to deploy those kind of out of the box. Those are a very different cost structure than a full custom development for an app. And from a custom perspective, from a chargeback perspective internally, we've got rate cards, right? So everybody's on a rate card, and we look at the account holistically as a firm and say, where's the revenue coming in? And, and then we try to make sure that we've got accurate depictions of the resources required to deliver what the clients ultimately ask for, and use that rate card methodology to do those chargebacks internally. But I think, again, it's iterative, so to the extent that it's custom one day, it may be out of the box the next day, and we try to always sort of drive that down and be as efficient as possible in terms of internally allocating those costs. But we do, there's not many instances where we're not having a real conversation with the business about the resources required and the expenses associated with that.
And it's typically brought as part of an entire solution. So we do data management via lease administration services that are directly tied to this, so everything is tied together. This isn't just an add-on to our services in many cases. It's part of our integral account delivery model. So our internal brokers use the tool as well, in addition to our clients. So it's really a full service.
Yep. Our core business is around transaction revenue. And increasingly, we can't win that type of transaction revenue without these types of tools. So if they're giving us a big contract, we'll just roll it into the pricing. Yep.
Can you walk us through the onboarding process when you do win new business? Because I know real estate data is awful, and it probably takes a long time to put it all in the same place as all the other data.
So,
Yeah, Doug, Brian, you guys and Shannon, we actually have part of our onboarding team here
yeah.
as well.
So, yes, when you get hundreds of leases at once, raw, that are scanned documents, we have a full-time team in Tampa of up to 50 people that just abstracts those leases and puts them into a database. We have a whole network of contractors around the globe to handle excess capacity and language issues. We won an award last year for a collaboration we did with Leverton, which is a company that uses AI to abstract leases. So we're still using that in a phase where we're trying to apply it to clients. So if you've got a lot of locations and you need an answer in a month instead of 6 months, we can get you pretty good accuracy quickly while we do it the correct way on the back end. And then internally, our accounting system, whenever we negotiated a deal on behalf of a client, that transaction term wasn't actually captured in accounting, and the document just went into a folder. So we're now using Leverton to go look at all of the deals we negotiated on behalf of our clients so that we can collect that as a database as well.
What's key too is that for the database piece of it, we don't have a proprietary database. We work with the industry standard lease administration and data management tools. So if a client has one in place and they hire us to provide full service account management, we'll likely API connect directly to that existing database, and our lease administration team will provide gap analysis and data quality analysis on their base level data to make sure it's accurate. So that's kind of the other way we onboard.
Yeah, and I would just say, ideally up front, there's been a visioning process as far as what it is we're trying to accomplish from the client perspective. So our client typically is part of a commercial real estate team internally. They've got the C-suite coming into their office saying, I need to know everything about our people and property on one page. Like, get it to me tomorrow. And that's not an easy task, right? So we're coming from that place with them and saying, okay, what's the most impactful visualization of that data that we can put together? And then what do we require from a data perspective to feed that? And where are we going to go to get that data? And what's the cadence and quality assurance process to bring it in with integrity? Because going into the room or having us fire up an instance of this and having it be wrong is a fireable offense. So we can't have it be wrong. And then I think the other trait that's unique sort of behind the scenes is we're putting people who, Doug kind of touched on this, but who understand the business and have the right tools at the front of the line with the customer, right? So it's not like they're calling us and saying, hey, what about this? And, oh, it's that department. Oh, it's this department. They've got a real sort of human piece that's empathetic and understands how those issues have been dealt with and can guide them through the organizational resources to make sure their process is ideally perfect as we onboard them.
Concierge service.
High touch. Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else? Oh, back
Yep.
there.
So I have a question about your architecture. Could you go like deeper on the database, the data warehouse? Is it one data warehouse, or do you have several data warehouses to represent each region?
So yes, on the regional piece, I'll dive into that in a second. But the way our data warehouse is set up is it's just an intermediary tool to link back to the source data. So as we showed you with the lease administration database piece and the Leverton connectivity piece, we're bringing the data over via API. It's sitting in our data warehouse, typically SQL, just for access into Tableau and into the visualization tools. So we're not maintaining data there. We're just staging the data there for access within Tableau. Everything is always refreshed at least nightly from the source database. So regionally, like Doug showed in the regional slides, we have Azure SQL database warehouses set up in each region. So in the US, in Europe, and in Asia, we have separate data warehouses.
So on the same lines, like how do you do year-on-year report and monthly report? Like you said, you don't have historical data, right? So.
No, we do have historical data. Great question. So we do capture snapshots of the data, but what you're seeing typically, and in all the visualizations you saw, that was a current live snapshot. So we do have the ability to look back in time at snapshots of the data, but the focus for at least the last 3 or 4 years has been current live data of what the portfolio is today, but we can go back in time as well.
We're only just now having enough data. You know, this platform's less than 3 years old. We didn't have enough data to do a time series until quite recently.
Right.
So especially with accounting rule changes this year for real estate leases, people just understanding their situation today was priority one. And now we're starting to field more requests about how are we benchmarking against our goals, all of that type of stuff.
I would just add also a little client dependent there, right? So by setting the system up in that modular fashion, to the extent that the client does have the historical inventory of data, we can access that.
Yeah,
and use that.
A lot of our clients, this is the first time they've ever had their data organized and structured in a way that's actually readable. So it's new to many of them.
In your presentation, you talked a little bit about the importance of being able to link down to the actual source, kind of where the data was, whatever that's a document, however. Do you use dashboard extensions within Tableau anywhere, or is that something that you guys are looking at? So, for instance, to provide your brokers with like write back functionality, something like that?
Yeah, so we don't use that today. Everything's meant to be read-only at this point. We are looking into the use of dashboard extensions. We're using fairly simple mechanisms to link back to the source database. We work with the database providers that provide us the access and the metadata to the individual row and column with URL linkage back to the database. So extensions are on our roadmap, absolutely.
Hi. So you mentioned that you use this for your already onboarded internal clients. How do you structure the pricing if you were just offering this as a service? Or do you do that?
We
deal
do
with
it, and we structure it on a project basis. So it's essentially like a large consulting project. But we like to do that when we think there's an opportunity to expand off the back of that consulting project to do kind of our core business, which is portfolio strategy, transaction execution in these markets and the brokerage piece of the business. But that's generally how we view it. So we're willing to do it, but it's not our day-to-day focus. Our day-to-day focus is really to find the opportunities where they want to bundle the portfolio strategy and the transaction execution globally or regionally, and use this as the backbone to deliver.
Yeah, so think of it this way.
We'll scope it and price it just like a consulting
But
project.
we're a public company, and we have to decide whether to invest $1 in a $200,000 SaaS project or a $5 million full portfolio and brokerage account. So if we think there's the opportunity to turn 6 figures into 7 figures, that's something we're happy to explore. And of course, we want to build a long-term relationship.
What else we do is we offer pilots as well. So we have a client opportunity that's not ready to hire us for our other service lines. We'll actually go in and provide them at a minimal fee, a pilot of the platform using their existing data and kind of working with them. We've had some success in showing them the value of tools like this, and then they start to bring us on board for additional services, and then we'll often credit back the pilot fee towards other services that we can provide.
Yeah, and I would just say, I mean, if we're back here next year, I think you'll probably see a whole suite of apps that are really geared towards, frankly, our brokerage constituency that are internal clients. And we're thinking about, how do we power like the ad hoc transaction process, which is our traditional core business, because there's a lot of VC and equity money going into new ways of thinking about digitizing real estate. And this is really the data visualization and analytics platform for the company globally. So brokers will be our constituency, and I think you'll see a whole sort of new suite of apps that are developed by this time next year for that part of the business.
Anything else?
All right.
Yep,
Well,
one more question,
One
I
more,
think.
sure.
No, go for it.
So I have a question about sort of the span of building out this platform and the reaction you get from your clients. Traditionally in the real estate industry, we relied a lot on sort of textual deliverables, especially from a research perspective, deliver white papers, ad hoc reports that are not just statistics, but also interpretations and sort of market expertise, right? In building out your platform and presenting more data and dashboards and visualizations, what has been the response from clients? Are they enjoying this? Do they think this is useful? Or are they sometimes getting confused and wish that there was still a sort of hard copy report that they could refer to?
So we do have, again, built into the native Tableau functionality, everything that you saw can be converted to a PDF or image file. So we do have clients who hand us the PowerPoints that they've been making once a month or quarter, and we've automated those, and then you can just hit export to an image, and they can paste it back into PowerPoint. All of these back-end tools allow you to automate a lot of the reporting. So it's a case-by-case basis. Some people really just care about their data. Other people care more about the market data and that type of interpretation you're bringing in, but it's all over the board.
As it relates to market data, though, when we have an interactive tool, we'll often link it right back to the hard copy of the data that is related to it. So we have sub-market, tenant-landlord favorability type data. We always can link back to the papers that we publish quarterly on that information, so they can take that piece out and deliver it to their C-suite if the interactive tool isn't the right delivery mechanism. We still do, yeah. I don't think we'll stop writing manual reports like those for a long time, but the client data integration is what is key for Knowledge Cubed. Yeah.
I would just add, like, one of the keys that we really try to focus on is reducing the mental load, right? So a visualization can be really cool, but it can be confusing and difficult. And we err towards, we want to make it simple and intuitive. And, ultimately, we've done our job very effectively if the person that's using it quickly gets to an aha, right? So I think that's a really important piece of designing the front end. And then we don't want to lose the human piece, right? We are a consulting company in our DNA, and our objective is not to kind of like remove the human element of the consulting, but really to enable a conversation and communication based in data. So that's where we try to focus. You know, these are great tools to have to explore, but ultimately the actions and the design and the strategy is something that it happens best when we've got somebody who's really good at doing that with the client.
Great. Sure.
Sure.
Just on the same lines, your company is into consulting software as a service, right? So I'm into the REIT as well. So how do you manage the KPIs? But because some of the clients would have different KPI definitions, like the net occupancy and any of those KPIs. Like how do you manage that challenge as you grow with the varying number of clients?
So we have a set of standard KPIs that we can deploy across our clients depending on the data that they have available. If they don't have the data available, we will hide those and we'll say we'll work towards collecting that data in the future. So we really kind of just turn on and off KPIs as it's relevant to the client. Some clients have very detailed utilization data, like Doug said, down to the sensor level. We do that very bespoke consulting analysis, but then other clients don't even know the number of people assigned to an office. So we have to be very agile with how we deploy the KPIs.
But think of it, each client is going to have their own instance, and that's driven by its own workbooks, and each workbook can have different calculations and definitions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we're right at 2:45. We don't want to keep anybody too long. If you have any other questions or anything, feel free to come on up. Please do complete the survey if you can. This is new kind of new topic for us to be presenting here. We'd love to be back next year, so please do fill that out. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.